On a cold morning in the Peruvian Andes, the world awoke to a stunning headline. China bets $7 billion on useless Peruvian mine. Now the world wants in. The Las Bambas copper mine, once written off as impossible, was suddenly the center of global attention. Copper from Las Bambas is vital for electric cars, green energy, and the devices in our pockets. The world watched, skeptical and curious. Could China turn a failed venture into a global prize? Las Bambas sits high in the Peruvian Andes, over 4,000 meters above sea level. The air is thin, and every breath is a challenge. The mine covers a vast expanse, its open pits stretching like scars across the Rocky Mountain. Here, the land is wild. Snow drifts sweep across the ridges, and storms appear without warning. This is not a mine for the faint of heart. Temperatures can drop below freezing even in daylight. Workers face headaches, dizziness, and even hallucinations from altitude sickness. The nearest port is over 700 kilometers away, connected by winding roads that hug the cliffs. Every shipment of copper must brave this treacherous journey. What makes Las Bambas so special is what lies beneath. The mountains are rich with copper hidden deep in the earth. But getting it out is another story. The copper is mixed with other minerals, making extraction slow and expensive. For years, experts insisted it was too hard, too costly, and too risky. Las Bambas was a sleeping giant. The promise was there, but so were the dangers and doubts. Many tried and failed before China arrived with a bold new vision. It started with high hopes. Western and Canadian mining giants eyed Las Bambas as a potential jackpot. Teams of geologists, engineers, and investors arrived, setting up camps under the harsh Andean sun. They rolled in heavy machinery, hoping to conquer the mountain and unlock its riches. But reality hit hard. At sunrise, workers slipped on frozen ground as they made their way to the pit. Trucks stalled on steep, icy grades. Snowstorms would halt work for days, burying equipment and stranding crews. One winter, a Canadian foreman watched helplessly as a loader, worth millions, skidded off a cliff during a whiteout. Costs soared. Every shipment of copper required a dangerous drive down narrow switchbacks, with sheer drops on either side. Some drivers refused to make the trip at all. Fuel, food, and spare parts had to be flown in or trucked over hundreds of kilometers. The mine's complex geology proved even harder to crack than expected. After years of struggle, the Western companies threw in the towel. They wrote off their investments and left, calling Las Bambas impossible. The mine sat silent, its promise fading into the mist. But the story was far from over. In 2014, a new player stepped onto the stage. A Chinese consortium led by MMG shocked the world by paying $7 billion for Las Bambas. Investors and analysts scoffed. Why would China risk so much on a project everyone else had abandoned? Headlines called it China's $7 billion mistake. Chinese engineers arrived, faces wrapped in scarves against the biting cold. They walked the site, studied the maps, and listened to the stories of failure. But instead of retreating, they rolled up their sleeves. They brought in hundreds of workers, fleets of new machines, and a mountain of fresh ideas. Skeptics watched closely. The Western press called it throwing good money after bad. Chinese executives faced pressure at home and abroad. If they failed, it would be a national embarrassment. If they succeeded, it could change everything. Despite the doubts, China pressed forward. The world waited to see if this bold gamble would pay off, or become history's most expensive mining blunder. Why did China want Las Bambas? Simple. Copper. Copper powers electric cars, wind turbines, and every smartphone and computer. China, the world's top EV maker, needs more copper than ever. Owning Las Bambas means control, a steady supply for decades. For China, Las Bambas is a strategic asset and a lifeline for the future. The Andes are beautiful, but they are also brutal. Every day at Las Bambas begins before dawn. Workers wake up gasping for breath, their heads pounding from the altitude. Frost covers the ground and snow often falls without warning. The wind howls through the camp, rattling windows and shaking tents. Getting supplies to the mine is honestly a nightmare. The only way in is a series of narrow, twisting roads carved into the mountainside. Trucks carrying copper concentrate must navigate switchbacks with no guardrails. Drivers face landslides, blizzards, and the constant risk of falling rocks. Sometimes, convoys wait for days until the roads clear. Even inside the mine, the cold is relentless. Machines freeze overnight. Ice forms on control panels and railings. Workers wear layers of thermal clothing, but still shiver as they guide excavators and haul trucks. Any mistake can mean disaster. Despite these dangers, Las Bambas never stops. The team has learned to work with the mountain, not against it. They use weather forecasts, satellite alerts, and careful planning to keep operations moving, no matter what nature throws their way. How did China transform Las Bambas from a failed dream into a global powerhouse? The answer lies in cutting-edge technology and sheer determination. Chinese engineers brought in advanced equipment, remote-operated drills, smart helmets, and automated trucks. These tools made it possible to work safely, even in the harshest conditions. Smart helmets with built-in sensors help workers monitor oxygen levels and heart rates. If someone shows signs of altitude sickness, the helmet sends an alert to the control room. Drones fly over the site, mapping new deposits and watching for hazards. Data from thousands of sensors is beamed back to Beijing, where experts offer advice in real time. The mine's process plant now runs almost around the clock. Powerful crushers break down ore, and flotation tanks separate copper from waste. Everything is tracked by computer, reducing errors and boosting efficiency. Chinese managers focused on training local staff, sharing knowledge and building a strong team. This blend of innovation and teamwork turned Las Bambas into one of the world's most productive copper mines. What others called impossible, China made possible, with brains, grit, and technology. Las Bambas is not just about copper. China knew that lasting success meant working with local communities and caring for the land. They set up profit-sharing programs, giving local villages a stake in the mine's success. Roads, schools, and clinics were built, bringing real improvements to people's lives. Environmental protection became a top priority. Engineers designed new systems to treat wastewater and reduce dust. They planted thousands of native trees to restore areas scarred by mining. In the streams near Las Bambas, teams released trout fingerlings to help revive local fisheries. Local leaders, once skeptical, became partners. Young people trained as mechanics, electricians, and environmental monitors. Women found jobs in administration and community outreach. The mine's presence sparked new businesses, shops, restaurants, and even tourist lodges. By investing in people and nature, China helped turn Las Bambas into a model for responsible mining. It was not perfect, but it was a start. A promise that progress could benefit everyone. Today, Las Bambas is no longer a useless mine. It is a symbol of change. Copper trucks roll out daily, braving the mountain roads before reaching the Pacific coast. From there, ships carry the copper across the ocean, to China, to the world's factories, and into tomorrow's technologies. The mine has become one of Peru's top exporters, adding billions to the national economy. Thousands of Peruvians now have steady jobs and new opportunities. Tax revenues fund schools and hospitals in remote regions. The project's success has inspired other nations to rethink partnerships with China. For China, Las Bambas was more than a business deal. It was a lesson in persistence and vision. By daring to invest where others failed, China gained not just copper, but credibility and influence. The world is watching as China's overseas investments reshape the global resource game. Las Bambas stands as proof, with courage, technology, and respect for people and land. Even the world's useless mines can become treasures for all.